Hello again. Today this video will be based on a continuous history of the Honda Acura NSX onto the second generation of the NSX. It's been 9 months this time recording this video since I talked about the OG legendary NSX that started it all by being the first sports car using an aluminum unibody design in the world. The evolution of the first gen Acura Honda NSX video was published last year in August 2021. If you never saw the predecessor video, there will be a link in the description section down below to watch after you finished this video. Let's leap right into this sequel background of the second generation Honda Acura NSX. First of all, the second gen Acura NSX is one of my favorite supercars since it first came out. Looks astonishing from every angle, the engine sounds good, and bet it drives quick and handily performs sharp in corners just like the long-lived first NSX. Despite the unfavorable and despised comments it got from some car fans or journalists due to being controversial for not following up to its predecessor, I believe it appears to do the same job the original NSX was capable of. Mechanically, the car still is a masterpiece and still is an amazing car, continuing the legacy of its ancestors, redefining the supercar glory it initially once was, the everyday supercar. And now it's time to say goodbye to the new NSX as it's going out of production again after 2022. And this underrated monster supercar that's been in the market for a half a decade will never be forgotten. The end of an era of Honda's controversial supercar. Before the coming second gen Honda Acura NSX arrived, Honda was undoubtedly successful with the outgoing NSX, and being a different car from the 90s was all about being rear-wheel drive with the mid-mounted naturally aspirated V6 engine, manual transmission, good comfort, and daily drivable. The first NSX was a supercar icon no matter what anybody says, and a game changer. Not only did the NSX destroy some of the best European sports cars of the 90s like the Ferrari 348 in terms of performance and tech, but far most reliable in doing that, forcing other car makers to go back to the drawing board to make better reliability products. The original NSX just had a sleek, simple design, basic stuff, and handles better than the new one with the bonus of reliability according to multiple sources. The NSX lasted for 15 years in production from 1990 to 2005 and stayed pretty much the same with the addition of the 2002 facelift. After that point, the first gen NSX was discontinued due to poor sales. Engine horsepower figures were too outdated and far behind at that point, only producing between 270 to 290 brake horsepower, whereas its Ferrari and Lamborghini were making double the horsepower, and prices were skyrocketing since the car was hand-built. People wanted the next NSX right after the first one was gone for good. Just a couple of years after 2005, in 2007 Honda announced that they were reviving the NSX model and would have come out by 2010, taken after the Acura ASCC model that was introduced at the 2006 Detroit Auto Show. The model's exterior design had a grand touring look, long sloping hood, sleek roof, and muscular with a blend of curved surfaces and sharp edges. There were rumors that the new NSX will have a 5-liter V10 engine powering the all-wheel drive system. Unfortunately, in 2008, the global economic downturn disrupted plans for the second gen of the NSX, and so the project had been cancelled. In 2010, the name of the NSX project was changed to the Honda HSV-010 GT. The car could have been based on a cancelled new NSX production car. Instead, it wasn't based on any street car that was made available to the public whatsoever. The future NSX was expected to be inspired by the HSV-010 GT race car built to compete in a Japanese Super GT racing series. It had a front-mounted 3.4-liter HR10 EG-V8 engine based on one used by Honda's open-wheel racing teams. The HSV-010 was exclusively a motorsport-only platform, and speculations were going about this becoming the next NSX, but we were wrong. Honda continued the project by developing a new sports car to be a successor to the original NSX. In that era, Honda would pull where the last NSX left off, but also be environmentally friendly. It was expected that the car would incorporate an electric drivetrain to give the internal combustion engine a boost of power. Honda was making a mid-engine hybrid electric sports car, which was where the controversy started because 10 years ago, hybrid sports cars weren't a trend, unlike today in 2022. In 2012, Honda Acura unveiled the NSX concept car at the Detroit Auto Show. It had a main residue two-door style coupe, mid-engine layout with all-wheel drive. The concept car had a 3.5-liter V6 hybrid with triple electric motors in the rear and to the front wheels. As you can see, the design concept lingers very similarly to the actual production model that came later. The car was even featured in a video racing game Gran Turismo 6 in 2013. It aged truly well even to this day, and a lot of fans loved it. The second gen NSX name has been defined as New Sports Experience, apart from the original name which stood for New Sportscar Experimental. It was not until 2015 that the second gen of the NSX will appear when Honda showed the production model at the Detroit Auto Show, just 10 years after the first NSX went away in 2005. Then the NSX rolled off the production line from the Ohio factory in May 2016 to the public, and when it did, the new NSX got a lot of hate and complaints because it simply doesn't follow up on its predecessor. The design is so far removed from the original design and engineering of the first NSX, and while that's true, the underpinnings of the new platform were a whole new dimension. The Acura NSX is powered by a reliable 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 hybrid mated to a tri-electric motor with a 9-speed dual-clutch transmission. The gas turbo engine itself makes about 500 brake horsepower, but with the benefits help of 3 electric motors boosts up to 573 brake horsepower to all 4 wheels, 476 pound-feet of torque, and revs up to 7,500 RPM redline. All of that integrated results in hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.9 seconds with a top speed of 191 miles per hour or 307 kilometers an hour. While that sounds downright impressive, however, it still wasn't enough to satisfy most NSX fans in the early years of this NSX buying it. Some NSX fans' arguments centered around whether the car was ugly or fine, too modern, or too freaking futuristic. Yet most loved how the concept model looked, which barely looked different from the production model. The fact that the car was all-wheel drive with the hybrid system, only dual clutch and no ever manual, and most hoped Honda would create a convertible or at the very least a Targa version, but they didn't do it. That's what made it a big deal for a lot of customers who nostalgically loved the NSX. On the contrary, the first NSX has rear-wheel drive, a manual, forced induction VTEC engine, and an open Targa and a convertible trims. So the real question is, did the second gen Honda Acura NSX ever reach its full potential? Yes and no. The super handling all-wheel drive system provides better, easier handling and matching acceleration while offering greater efficiency, which says the car is still easy to drive. And there is nothing wrong with the internal combustion engine with an electric hybrid system because it adds more torque and handling and responds quicker while the engine doesn't compromise power to all wheels. And it's super efficient and lowers fuel consumption, making it very reliable. The second gen NSX is twice more expensive than the original one ever was, starting at around $160,000. Its intended target was the Audi R8, McLaren 570S, Nissan R35 GTR, and the Ferrari 488 GTB. However, its competitors were more pricey while the NSX was cheaper, and just as fast as those cars and just as good looking too. The car features a lot of a standard and is just also quite reliable and easy to maintain. In 2017, its Nurburgring Lap Time was 7 minutes and 36 seconds. However, it was slower than the Porsche 911, Audi R8 V10, and Nissan GTR, which were almost 10 seconds quicker around the wing. Honda also announced the NSX GT3 race car to begin competition in IMSA and Pirelli World Challenge in 2017. The race car didn't have an electric hybrid powertrain like the road car did, but was homologated by D-Tune with the same 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6, making 500 brake horsepower to meet the race rules. Then they announced the second-gen Honda NSX Super GT to race in the Japanese Super GT series. Except for using the mid-engine layout like the GT3 and the street car, it had a front-engine layout with a V6. Throughout the production cycle of the NSX since its 2017 model year hasn't been selling well because people see it as overpriced. In 2020, Acura sold only 128 units while competitors like Audi sold 281 R8s, Nissan sold 304 GTRs, and Porsche sold over 8,800 911s in the same amount of time. Honda stopped producing the NSX for Japan, Australia, and Europe, including the United Kingdom, due to its poor sales. The new NSX is just unpopular and unwanted, which is quite sus for many reasons. They made a few noteworthy changes in 2019, but they only included larger front and rear stabilizer bars and changed the grille color to match the body color, thermal orange. That's it. After that point, there was no Targa version, no convertible, not even a special edition to celebrate NSX's 30th anniversary because the sales were too dismal. Acura realized that it was time to make a big move, and I mean a great one, and they did. So there was no standard NSX in the market after 2020. In August 2021, Honda unveiled the limited high-performance version of the NSX that will only be produced in 2022 to mark the second-gen NSX's final year of production run. The all-new Acura NSX Type S is the most powerful, fastest, and baddest NSX ever made. The new Type S is the direct successor to the 1997 NSX Type S and Type S0 models that were exclusively to Japan, meaning that the 2022 version will be the first and last NSX Type S to be sold out of Japan. Acura built 350 units total, and 300 of them were given to the US market. The NSX Type S features several enhancements to the NSX's powertrain based on the NSX GT3 Evo race car. The 3.5-liter V6 is upgraded with turbochargers, also new, which increased the flow weight by 25%, and new intercoolers with 15% more heat dissipation. As a result of these upgrades, the engine pushes 602 brake horsepower and 492 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 9-speed dual clutch. The new downforce elements include a new nose design and a large carbon rear diffuser based on the one used on an NSX GT3 Evo race car. Despite the rarity and short life, it's shocking how much effort Acura put into enhancing the NSX's engine and 3-motor hybrid system. Yet it never quite resonated with enthusiasts as much as the old first-gen NSX did, which is a shame. You see, the reasons being the new NSX is unpopular are obvious. The interior is very cheap while it's upscaled and futuristic in terms of the way it looks apart from the old one. The infotainment system, the console buttons, and even the steering wheel are carried out by a Honda Civic or Accord. Some buyers just don't want to pay 160 grand for a supercar only to feel like they're sitting in a Civic and rather spend money on an Italian exotic. But just like the old NSX, the new one has always been focused on offering an everyday supercar experience like a commuter car, while still being practical, super reliable, and less expensive option than compared to German and Italian exotics. The interior details may not look as nice, but it's also a lot less expensive and help keep the costs down. There is a lot of great value in what the car has, but perhaps the NSX just needs a price adjustment a little bit. We can see why it is expensive because the car utilizes a tri-motor hybrid powertrain, so it's not as overpriced as everyone thinks. The old NSX featured some cool technology, but it's nothing like the new one. The old NSX was quick back in its day, but it's nothing compared to the new one. However, the new one has zero resemblance to the original in terms of design language. The new NSX will never be more special than the old NSX in terms of the design looks. The old one made a bigger impact as a proper JDM car, a proper driver's car, and had many trim variants, whereas this new NSX partly stayed true to its predecessor in many ways in a different manner. And I'm not gonna lie that the second gen of the NSX should get more of the love that it deserves, despite being so hated and different from the original NSX. I saw this thing along with the old one in real life and sat in the new NSX myself, and to me, it's a beautiful, underrated, and rare car, and I get one. There is one worth noting people should keep in mind. NSX always stood for New Sports Experiment, which is now New Sports Experience, which defines the future of sports cars. So the concept of hybrid was a way to go, and these days most supercars are dual clutch, automatic, and some are hybrid powered, and they sell like hotcakes. A manual option and an open top would have been nice, but as many years go by, some purists will look back and realize what Honda engineered this car as a true sports car and completely evolved in every way from the original NSX. And now, that's a wrap for this video. So I hope you guys really did sit back and relax and enjoy this epic video of the history and evolution of the second gen narration of the Honda Acura NSX. And if you did, do not forget to click to subscribe and hit the like button for some more upcoming car videos. And you are more than happy to give me any car suggestions in the comments down below, as you always been. Make sure to adjust your headphone volume for the new NSX V6 sound. Peace out, stay safe, Chris the Radar out.
Yeah.